health service executive. They got a victim of a big ransomware attack. And why does that matter? Well, they're part of the largest network in healthcare in Ireland. About 4,000 locations, 54 hospitals and 70,000 devices were affected. Let's find out all about that. Thank you for joining. My name is Lieuwe Jan Koning, and from the Security Operations Center here at Onto It, we bring you Threat Talks, the deep dive. Let's get onto it.
Welcome to Threat Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
Let me briefly introduce my two guests of today. Luca Cipriano, threat intel specialist at Onto It. He knows how these hacks work and he can also explain them to us. It's a lot of information today, so he'll probably peek at his laptop a couple of times
I'll
today.
do my best.
And on my other side, it's Rob Maas. He's a field CTO of Onto It, and he is the one that is supposed to prevent all this. He advises customers to not suffer from an attack like this.
Doing everything by head.
Let's see how that goes. Rob, to start with you. In a previous episode of Threat Talks, you said this ransomware attack was completely avoidable. Do you stand by that?
Yeah, I still stand by that. It was avoidable, or at the bare minimum, the impact could be far less than it was now. The main reason the report stated is that there was no clear responsibility for security, for a CISO or a security responsibility, the person you have to go to or who takes responsibility for the security. And we can see that also in the timelines. The attacker got a lot of time in the environment that could have been prevented or detected more early on if the only basic security controls would have been in place.
Yeah, it took them 8 weeks or so, between the first, we'll learn everything from the timelines of
laptops. So 8 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
You say you were doing by heart.
That's a lot of time. If from our experience, we need to be really quick if there is an attack going on.
This could really be less severe than it was now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Luca, what happened?
Well, what happened? First, I would like to add on what Rob just mentioned, that one of the biggest problem also is that HSE was part of the NHN, which is the National Health Network, and it's a network that is used from various healthcare-related companies, hospitals, etc., and it's a flat network, which is quite bad, as you probably can tell. Yeah, that's really easy for roaming around once you're in one target. And this is done, of course, for making it easier for companies to share that and everything, but that makes it easier also for an attacker to move around between companies, which is
still not very uncommon that companies
unfortunately,
have a flat network.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Yeah, so that's quite bad. Another thing.
Yeah, before we continue, by the way, you have a timeline prepared for us, huh?
Yes.
Maybe for our viewers, we also publish a infographic about this attack. Maybe it's a good idea to pause the video now after I have explained to you why. Because if you download it, you can actually follow through with Luca where he's at, so it's probably easier to understand. So feel free to do so. It will probably make things a lot clearer. There's a lot of steps involved and a lot of time passes.
Yeah. So the infographic that we prepared, it is, of course, we're going to talk about this attack, but luckily, like time ago, an affiliate from the Conti ransomware, the ransomware as a service, was not really happy with them, and it leaked a full playbook of what they do. So with step-by-step, all the tools that they use, what they need to do. So the infographic is, although we talk about HSE, it is also based on the material that has been leaked. So it might be a bit more.
So you mean those criminals got in a quarrel or so?
Yes, they were. I think they were not happy about the money that they got from a ransomware or something, so they decided to leak a lot of information, including a playbook that explains all the techniques, the tools that they use, and it's like a step-by-step guide that will explain how to do it, how they do it. Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah. Yes, what facilitates this attack also, it has to say that the network had a lot of end-of-life servers and like about 30,000 Windows 7 workstations that were end-of-life. So this made the attacker work way easier. And just to give an idea to everybody that is listening, the ransomware was deployed on the 14th of May 2021. And by the 14th of June 2021, only 50% of the hosts were decrypted, and it took until the 21st of September 2021 to fully decrypt all the systems that were affected. So it created a huge impact. Literally, hospitals were working with pen and paper. Imagine all the VoIP systems were down, no computers, nothing. It was crazy.
Any casualties?
Not that I'm aware of, but I wouldn't be surprised, of course, that because of course you delay all the critical emergencies that you have. It will create extra time, and also this happened during COVID. So yeah, you can imagine it's plus was, and as far as I know, luckily they didn't manage to encrypt anything about the COVID vaccine, or otherwise it would have been even worse. So luckily that part was still okay.
They did decrypt. Are you getting to that? Because apparently,
yes. I mean, yeah, we can say it now. It seems like a decryption key was found, probably leaked or accidentally. We don't know, but they managed to get the key and decrypt everything somehow. It was posted online, so probably a mistake from the attacker, maybe. We don't know.
So the attackers did not, as far as we know, make any money. Maybe the attacker was hospitalized and needed access.
Maybe he needed urgent assistance, so he leaked the key. Oh, now we don't know, but that's how they managed to decrypt everything. But it took time, of course. So yeah. How did it start? I would say, right? So this started on the 18th of March, 2021, where patient 0 received a phishing email, which actually received the email on the 16th of March, but he decided to open it, download the attachment, and open a malicious Excel file that contained a backdoor in it. So then it was activated, and from there the attacker had initial foothold on patient 0's host.
And this might have been prevented by an XDR, EDR tool. Maybe.
Yes. The problem is that they had an antivirus, so not an EDR, but the antivirus was in alert mode only, so it was not blocking.
And so there was nothing done with the response then, I assume.
No, I didn't find specific information about that, but I'm pretty sure that they didn't do anything with the alert.
Won't have taken that long.
Exactly.
They took action.
Otherwise, yeah. So yeah, that's one
step
problem.
one: make sure your antivirus is in prevention mode.
Is not in prevention mode. It's in prevention mode. Yeah, no, for me it's not. For you, yes. Yeah, of course, it's in prevention mode. Yeah, not alert. Yeah, because at least you can block the initial foothold. So what happens after the step one, where the patient 0 is there? Then an attacker normally will start to do enumeration on the host, so it will start to understand, because you need to imagine from the attacker point of view, you are in a black box. You don't know where you have landed. You need to start to see what's around you, what you can reach. If you can enumerate Active Directory to see all usernames, password, if you can dump them, try to find the targets that you want to move in. So you start to do this kind of enumerations. And enumerations normally for advanced attackers are done with tools with living off the land, so tools that are used by administrators, system administrators that are on the hosts. And they
already available, you mean?
Yeah, they're already available, or like command line or PowerShell, something that does not make noise and can blend in with legitimate traffic, for example. At this point, also like probably the attacker will use tools like seatbelt, for example, to enumerate defenses on the host to see if there's ADR runnings, and they start to understand where they are and what they need to do to just be undetected. As soon as they are done with the enumeration, then of course the first thing that they will try to do is privilege escalation on the host. So they will try to get more privileges to do things, and of course they're going to do it in different ways. Of course, still, if they find some vulnerable software, try to exploit vulnerabilities, maybe try to exploit some vulnerable software that will allow them to execute things on high privileges if there are misconfigurations, or maybe they can start to do like attacks on Active Directories, like Kerber roasting, where they're trying to get tickets and Or sometimes it depends where you land. They can also start just waiting and sniffing traffic. Maybe they're lucky. They will get some credential with high privileges.
So very early on, they were quite capable on the network, but still on the timeline, it takes a while before they seem to do nothing initially.
Yes. I mean, they were there for a while, and from what we know from the investigation, we know that on the 23rd of March, so about 5 days after, they established extra persistence on the patient 0. So they started to add extra backdoors on the host in order to just make sure that they wouldn't be cut off from patient 0, at least. And what's a bit, normally attackers will use things like, for example, startup. They will use startup registry keys to establish extra persistence, or maybe they would install, AnyDesk or Screen Connect that we talked about now, but AnyDesk or this kind of software as well, so they can maintain persistence on the host. And on the 31st of March, the antivirus from HSE actually detected Cobalt Strike and Mimikatz, which Cobalt Strike is like a kind of a framework that is used for penetration testing, or that is used for legitimate use case, but it's used also for attackers, especially by Conti. And Mimikatz is a tool that is used to dump credentials from the host Active Directory, and you can get password hashes or tickets.
This should have raised some red flags.
That should have raised some red flag, but based on how it went, it did not apparently. So that's again, the antivirus was only on alert. So
but someone
was not
should
blocked.
follow up those alerts.
But still, if your antivirus on alert, it will go off all the time with informational level things, and I think it would be really hard to figure out.
I hope that Mimikatz is not going to be in informational, but
no, but still, I mean, there's so much then to go through.
Exactly.
If you put it in prevention mode, that will limit the noise.
It depends also on if you have any solutions that who's behind it. Looking at this, do they know what is Mimikatz? They read Mimikatz and they say, "Oh, well, what's Mimikatz?"
Did they have a security operations center either in house or?
I did not get exact information about them, but I know for sure that during these attacks, Hadar Hospital, they were informed about malicious activity on their Active Directory by their SOC. And also Cobalt Strike, but at least for one hospital, I know that the SOC saw that the Cobalt Strike beacon was blocked, so they said, "Oh, it's mitigated, so that's fine." And it was
they turned off the alarm.
Like that. Yeah, well, they said we blocked it, so just leave it. But this is also the danger and the problem of a flat network, because you have a lot of hospitals. One hospital catches it, but does not see the whole picture, so it says, "Okay, well, we blocked it. Maybe it was nothing." Depends on the maturity of the SOC also that you have, that they can think what they should do. So that's, and especially in such a big flat network with a lot of end-of-life devices as well, a lot of legacy systems, it's not easy. It's really difficult. Yeah.
What do we do against this, Rob? Where do you start? I mean, we're not even halfway the story, I guess, but...
Yeah, we're at the beginning.
Well, let's first put it out that if you have antivirus or EDR, put it in prevention mode. That should be step one. It's your last resort. If they are on the system, make sure they cannot execute malicious commands like Mimikatz or unwanted processes. Also, for when they gain persistent access, you can limit access by making sure the firewall is properly configured. Host, depending a bit on how they gain the persistent access, quite often is an outgoing connection to a command and control server or reverse web shell to a known IOC. So those are quite easy to block. Maybe you will not catch everything, but it will make it at least a bit harder for the attacker to get a reverse shell or persistence on the system. For the flat network, the problem is that if there is no detection anymore in the network, so no firewall passing, data not traversing any firewall, you cannot see that it has spread in the network. You cannot stop it in the network. So that would be a next step. Make sure your network is not flat but segmented.
This is a multi-year plan. It's the basics, but multi-year.
Basic, but even with some basics, the impact could already be a lot less. Of course, if you are going to completely redesign your network and make small segments, that will take years. But the whole idea here is that you start with your most important parts, and every segment is a win. So you can just start smaller. You should always go for smaller segments instead of trying to do everything at once, and make sure there's a strategy behind it. Why are we doing security? Which controls do we want to have implemented? I think in this case, if no one is responsible, nobody is going to say, okay, this is our security strategy. This is what we're going to pursue. So these are the projects that we should execute. And I think that was missing here.
Yeah, I think what was missing, if I can add also, is like probably control on the software that that
lifecycle management.
Because using living off the lands can be limited as well. If you have like a good control of which software can be used by which users, I mean, it's still challenging, but could be something as well.
And the outdated system doesn't necessarily have to be a problem. Of course, if you can, you should patch. But especially in healthcare and hospitals, it's quite common to have systems. Maybe 30,000 is a bit much. But having systems that cannot be patched because the software cannot be updated or will not run on a newer version, then make sure that you create a segment around those systems with the
like legacy segment.
Easier said than done, because my hospital needs to work 24/7, especially during the pandemic.
In healthcare, this is the main concern. You cannot easily turn off the network. You really need to carefully plan it. Also here, we do it with small steps. It still needs to. You still need to make changes, but then at least you don't have to the whole environment to take into account, but only the segment that you're going to change.
At which step are we in the infographic?
Well, we are at the step we're starting now, lateral movement. At this point, some ransomware, they're self-replicating. And especially in a flat network like this, when you launch the ransomware, it can spread itself, and it's going to be really easy because having it does not have limit or where it's going to go. In this case, they had a non-self-replicating ransomware, so they started to pivot within the network, and they started to affect as many devices as possible. And that's also the step that normally, an attacker will do. Normally, to do this kind of lateral movement, again, they're going to try, if possible, to use living off the lands. So, for example, they're going to use PSXAC, WMI, SMB connections. They're mounting drives to move around. And it's a bit more easy to blend in with normal traffic, especially if you don't have a good overview of your network. And slowly start to spread your foothold on more and more devices and prepare to deploy your ransomware.
All manual steps by the attacker?
Yes, or sometimes can be also scripted. It depends, but
in that case, they had a lot of time. They
just were there. Like we're already at the 7th of May. So
May 7th. Yeah,
May 7th.
Started in March.
Yeah, exactly. So they had all the time, and actually, when it's better to take time, because the more silent you are, the easier it is not to be detected. So just take your time. If you move laterally, establish extra persistence. So even if they found one host that you have compromised, then you still have other, maybe create other user accounts with high privileges around, because of course, they need to have a really good overview of all the joint domains and everything. So that's that can slide.
For them, it's probably a day job, so they have time to look around.
Yeah, they're just gonna do this. Just be silent. Try to do maybe a few things per time, not too many things to get discovered. And this is actually the step also where they're gonna start to prepare for exfiltrating data, because at this point, after enumerating and lateral movement, you have access to the servers, and you know on the file servers which are the files that are more valuable for you, that you could sell online or anyway, like exfiltrates, and then you start the attacker at this point, it will start to it will start to stage. So it's going to find the host where it's going to start to just collect all the data and then compress it, zip it, and just get ready to exfiltrate it. It takes time as well, especially if it's a lot of data. So this is the step.
So now everything is encrypted.
Well, no, now we are still at the staging. We're not deploying the ransomware yet. Now we are at the point where we have expanded our foothold everywhere, extra persistence, and gather all the data on a place, put it all together, and exfiltrated it. And this is the double ransom. Right?
Now it can be used for extortion.
That can be used for extortion, so that's a double ransom, because I'm not only telling you, hey, I deployed the ransomware, do you want your data back? But I have also your data, and do you want me to sell it online or to just make it publicly available if you don't pay?
Now you sometimes have the third step where they inform the authorities.
Yeah, of course. They will file the SEC claim for you if you don't do it on time.
I don't think it happened here, but it's the third
step. It happened in the US. It happened in the US.
Full service ransomware.
Yeah. So at this point in time that we're doing all this and we're spreading, of course, there were a lot of hospitals that were starting to notice weird things. Some of these hospitals had their SOC. They said, hey, there's some brute force attempt. They did some queries on the Active Directory. But unfortunately, nobody did anything to say, hey, we need to start something. Of course, because it's also different entities. Everybody has different things. So, there was a lack of coordination and, well, it could have been stopped a bit before. At this point also, we are finally on the 14th of May. And at this point, the attacker executed the ransomware on the HSE and all the other hospitals that were involved, and they managed to move laterally. And of course, this led to all the disruption that we discussed before.
Everything went black.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Everything went black.
And then it took till September, from May till September to recover.
Well, on the 20th of May, they found this key that was that was leaked or that was posted online accidentally, and then they started to decrypt everything, and then it took until the 21st September to bring everything back to normal.
Yeah, you can imagine if you have so many systems and you need to do the decryption manually on every system, you need a lot of hands.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people,
a lot of time.
Yeah, of course. Takes time to decrypt terabytes of data.
So we talked about several countermeasures that we could take. Lots of them are in the basics. You need to make sure your old operating systems aren't there anymore. Do not connect everything to everything. We can't stress that enough. I mean, connecting WAN connections everywhere, VPN tunnels that route all traffic is a really bad idea. I can see that here again.
Restrict outbound traffic.
Restrict outbound traffic, EDR solution.
EDR solutions, especially for the ransomware. I mean, EDR solutions.
Ransomware are a solved problem.
Yeah, well, they have normally
detectable.
Yes, detectable or stoppable as well, because they have decoy files that when they start to get encrypted, of course, it depends on at which stage they get encrypted or what time, but it will stop the process.
Most solutions encrypt 2, 3, 4 files maybe, and then they're stopped.
Yeah, because it starts to encrypt the canary file, and we'll say just All
right. Any clue where we are at now with this organization? I'm sure they hired a CISO.
I really hope so.
That was a really good report. Multiple reports even. Yes. So if you look for the attack, then you will find multiple reports by different companies indeed. I think they're all good. They all come to the same clue.
Yeah,
and that's
a lot of advices.
Yeah, there should be clear responsibility for security. So someone really should have a CISO role, or at least security in his portfolio, and set out a strategy. And what sounds for us is that it's easy to say afterwards, but for us, basically the basic hygiene of cybersecurity should be implemented.
Yeah.
So EDR solutions should be in preventive mode. Segment your network where possible, but do it in small steps. Don't try to do it overnight. That will be a disaster, especially for healthcare. Limited outgoing access. It's all, in my opinion, and it's very simple steps. But of course, they need to be executed and need to be planned. So I understand that it will take time. But in that case, you can limit the impact or even prevent the whole attack.
I'm sure that everyone who worked at one of those organizations did their very best and did their job. It's not that. I mean, it's not like...
no, the priorities are just different, I think.
And arguably, in a couple of years' time, these hospitals are the most safe in the world because they now know what.
If you learn the hard way, I would assume
these attacks
so.
help in securing the world.
That's why you pay the ransom for. It's a lesson,
Expensive lesson.
It's an expensive lesson.
Well, hope it never happens again, and I hope. Crypto keys get leaked by accident from time to time to prevent us from paying this ransom.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It was
you.
a very interesting case. Again, look in online on our on the infographic about this topic. If you want to use it in your own organization or dive some deeper, feel free. It's for you to use. Thank you, Luca. Thank you, Rob, for your contributions. Listeners, thank you as well for tuning in. If you like this talk, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Every Tuesday you can expect a new episode of us. And also like it. It helps us spread the word further. And we'd love to hear from your feedback. So you can leave a comment or simply email us at team@threat-talks.com. So from the Security Operations Center floor here at Ontoid, I thank you once again. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by Ontoid Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.